Good morning, good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Dominique Burgeon, and I'm the director of the FAO Liaison Office in Geneva, and it is my real pleasure to welcome you all to this 8th SIDS Solution Dialogue. I would like to really extend my appreciation to all the permanent representatives, delegates, and distinguished guests for joining us today in presence in Geneva, but also in other locations, and also welcoming all the participants joining us online today. We started, as you will recall, the SIDS Dialogue series back in 2022 as a joint effort between the FAO Liaison Offices in Geneva, Brussels, and New York, working in close collaboration with the Office of Small Island Developing States, Least Developing Country, and Landlocked Developing Countries to address development challenges faced by SIDS and brainstorm on potential solutions. Today, we joined forces with the FAO Statistics Division to prepare this dialogue on enhancing timely access to quality data and statistics in SIDS. As you know, the 4th International Conference on Small Island Developing States, SIDS 4, held last year in Antigua and Barbuda, emphasized the crucial role of data and statistics in fostering sustainable development and in driving decision-making and effective policy implementation. Indeed, SIDS face challenges in data collection, analysis, and governance, limiting informed policymaking and access to financing. Strengthening capacity will drive evidence-based decisions, unlock investments, and accelerate sustainable development. This was also highlighted in a session on data gaps of the Pacific SIDS Solution Forum held in Fiji last November, and in which, of course, our colleague Shang Jun, here present, played a big role. The event highlighted the scarcity of timely and standardized data for food and agriculture in the region, despite growing demand, and praised the decisive effort of Pacific SIDS to bring data on top of their agendas. Strengthening capacity will drive evidence-based decisions, unlock investments, and accelerate sustainable development. To address this gap, FAO has developed a portfolio of proven, cost-effective, and innovative solutions for collecting key food and agriculture data, which have already been implemented in different contexts. With this in mind, we have organized an engaging session that offers an overview of the current state of access to quality data and statistics in SIDS and respond to the call made by a SIDS 4 conference for strengthening data collection. We will begin with opening remarks from 3 prominent speakers to get their reflection on today's topic, covering African, Pacific, and Caribbean regions. The permanent representative of the Republic of Cabo Verde at the United Nations in New York, the permanent representative of Jamaica and coordinator of the CARICOM group here in Geneva, and the permanent representative of the Republic of Vanuatu, also here in Geneva, who will speak on behalf of the Pacific Island Forum. Next, Mr. José Rosero Moncayo, here on my left, Chief Statistician and Director of the Statistics Division of FAO, will be setting the scene by identifying and sharing existing solutions on data gaps and enhancing timely access to quality data and statistics for sustainable development in SIDS. After that, we'll hear from 2 government speakers, Mr. Tyrone Gopal, Senior Statistician, Agricultural Division, Central Statistical Office of Trinidad and Tobago, online, and Ms. Saniana Kirisiatiania, Chief Economist of the Ministry of Agriculture and Waterways of Fiji, will have a video message from her. They will provide country-level insights into practical actions and ideas that highlight the potential of enhancing timely access to quality data and statistics for SIDS. We'll then have some time for question and answers, and where, of course, participants in the room can raise their hands, and others should use the Q&A module. Finally, last but not least, we'll have the opportunity to listen to our dear colleague Xiangjun Yao, the newly appointed director of the FAO Office of SIDS, LDCs, and LLDCs, who will deliver some closing remarks. So before we dive into the discussion, we'd like to remind you that this webinar will last for about 90 minutes, will be recorded. All the webinars, all the SIDS dialogue that we have had are available online on the FAO website, and we will share again with you the link so that you can see them and see them again, but also share them with colleagues. I would like to ask those online to keep their microphone muted. And finally, we encourage you to use the Q&A module should you want to ask some questions. With that, I would like to again warmly welcome you to this 8th SIDS Solution Dialogue. And I will now pass the floor to Ambassador Brown, the permanent representative of Jamaica and coordinator of the CARICOM group. Ambassador Brown, if you don't mind to kick off.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, and Madam Xiangjun Yao, Director of the FAO Office of SIDS, LDCs and LLDCs. Excellencies, distinguished presenters, colleagues all, good morning and good afternoon to those here in the room as well as those online. I welcome this opportunity to discuss a matter of priority import for Jamaica and the wider Caribbean community, namely the urgent need for timely agricultural data collection, management, analysis, and dissemination in Caribbean SIDS. Agriculture is the backbone of most of our economies on which food security and rural livelihoods depend. However, our farmers, policymakers, and agribusinesses are often compelled to take decisions without real-time, accurate, or actionable data, thereby undermining their ability to, among other things, combat climate change, manage resources efficiently, and ensure food security. As we are well aware, Caribbean SIDS face unique vulnerabilities such as limited arable land, water scarcity, and extreme weather events intensified by climate change. At the same time, key partners in the multilateral trading system and major export markets are advancing sustainability measures, which often present as barriers to trade. This is compounded by other development challenges, such as high debt to GDP ratios and inflationary pressures, including high food inflation, which frustrates our adaptability efforts to retain or increase access to agricultural markets. So, Moderator, the lack of timely access to agricultural and relevant data on the sector therefore carries with it a high cost, including the impact on the region's ability to effectively respond to the food security challenge. For this reason, the CARICOM Regional Strategy for the Development of Statistics, RSDS, and the Regional Statistics Program is targeted at enhancing the quality and availability of statistics across its member states, including through the formulation of a roadmap to achieve an efficient CARICOM statistical system that meets national, regional, and global development agendas, fostering sustained economic growth and development. In response to these challenges, the Regional Statistics Program is working on developing a framework for a core set of agricultural statistics to be produced by all member states in collaboration with the Italian National Institute of Statistics, ISTAT, and is focused on technical assessments in agriculture and virtual training, as well as improving data quality, dissemination, and alignment with the SDGs. At the recent 40th CARICOM Heads of Government Conference in February this year, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and Chair of the Special Ministerial Task Force for Food Production and Food Security, reiterated the region's commitment to assisting our farmers with predictive data, predictive analysis, and real-time information through significant investment in data centers of excellence for CARICOM. This will support informed decision-making processes, including the design of effective domestic support and disaster relief programs, and allow farmers to be better prepared for and able to adapt to extreme weather events for improved policy responses and climate resilience in agriculture. utilizing national statistical offices with demonstrated strengths in particular areas of statistics, as our regional data centers of excellence, is one tangible way in which we can work cooperatively to help build capacity and support member states throughout the region through the sharing of expertise. With respect to agriculture, the National Statistical Institute of Trinidad and Tobago has been identified to operate as a center of excellence. I'm thus pleased that we have the participation of Mr. Tyrone Gopal, senior statistician, I'm not sure why I'm struggling with this word, statistician, Agriculture Division in the Central Statistical Office of Trinidad and Tobago, to expand on the best practices undertaken by that member state on agriculture statistics. Along with the Regional Statistics Program, steps are being taken to clarify the methodology and processes involved in agricultural data production within this statistical office. Once fully operational, it is expected that other member states will gain from the wealth of experience possessed by Trinidad and Tobago in the area of agricultural statistics. Indeed, Chair, there are other examples of progressive agricultural data collection systems throughout the CARICOM region, most notably in Belize, Guyana, and Jamaica. This includes the Agribusiness Information System, the Jamaica Marketing Information System, and Production Forecasting and Grow Data Collection Systems in Jamaica, which collect data on the number of farmers, farm locations, crops grown, land holding size, production forecasts, produce availability, and prices. Belize also has a modern and functional farmer information and registration system, which not only allows for the collection and storage of critical information on farms and farmers, but may also be used for disaster recovery and production planning. Guyana also has recently commenced its farmer and farm registration system. Additionally, Chair, several countries in the CARICOM region have started their agricultural census, which is a recognized best practice across the world to be able to account for the sector and its contribution to GDP. Later this month, the World Food Programme and the CARICOM Secretariat will launch the Caribbean Real-Time Food Security Monitoring Dashboard, which will be an interactive tool to track and share food security information across the region. Similarly, the CARICOM Secretariat, supported by the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, IICA, has commenced a series of agriculture data collection training for frontline agricultural stakeholders, including farmers, extension officers, and civil society, to improve and increase the quality of agricultural data collection and dissemination throughout the region. The region has therefore invested significant resources to ensure food security for our populations. However, there remain a number of challenges in the implementation of data-driven solutions that require immediate attention, including greater harmonization of data collection and analysis, allocation of increased resources to ensure current and accurate data, the greater adoption of electronic and online data information systems, a mindset shift that recognizes the importance of consistent data collection and dissemination of agricultural data, and breaking down data silos at the national level, as well as across multilateral organizations such as WMO, FAO, WFP, and the WTO to harness synergies across the data analytic capabilities of these bodies. Chair, there can be no discussion around data and analysis without considering technology and how new and emerging technologies can assist in data collection, analysis, and application for digital agriculture. The challenge for CARICOM SIDS will be bolstering our capacity to keep pace with technological applications to ensure competitiveness in the agriculture sector. This calls for investment and prioritize funding for agricultural data systems, including satellite technology, Internet of Things sensors, and farmer-friendly mobile platforms. The latter could be used to facilitate weather alerts, up-to-date market prices, and pest advisories that could transform decision-making at the grassroots level. Undoubtedly, the timely collection and use of quality data and statistics remains vital. The requisite technical assistance and capacity-building support from the international community is also vital. For this reason, CARICOM governments welcome the Antigua and Barbuda Agenda for SIDS Abbas from the 4th International Conference on Small Island Developing States held in May 2024, which calls for strengthened data collection, storage, and analysis, including through strengthening of national data infrastructure. CARICOM will continue to rely on its international development partners to support capacity building in agriculture statistics. In this regard, we welcome ongoing collaboration with the FAO on various projects, including the one on monitoring and reporting on the SDGs through the analysis of the cost and affordability of a healthy diet and the implementation of the Food Insecure Experience Scale FISE in the Caribbean. The CARICOM Secretariat will therefore continue to collaborate with the FAO to coordinate and support data collection and analysis across member states. In closing, please accept my gratitude to the FAO Secretary, for organizing these SIDS dialogues, and particularly for this focus session on access to agricultural data. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for your comprehensive opening remarks and for highlighting, I would say, the criticality of the issue that is on the agenda today, but also the ongoing efforts made by countries with in partnership with their partners, and also, of course, presenting very clearly the challenges ahead and what needs to be done. So thank you again. And now I will turn to His Excellency Mr. Sombue Anclas, the permanent representative of the Republic of Vanuatu, to deliver some opening remarks on behalf of the Pacific Island Forum. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dominic. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends. It is my pleasure to join you, Ambassador, responsible before me, in warmly welcoming you all to this important SIDS dialogue, Solutions Dialogue, on improving access to quality and timely data and statistics. An issue that is of critical importance for small island developing states, and especially for those of us in the Pacific, of the Blue Pacific. As small island developing states, we face many shared structured challenges: small land areas, geographic remoteness, limited resources, high exposure to external shocks. And the Pacific is also composed of net food importing developing countries, placing us at the mercy of global supply chains and price volatility. At the same time, our agricultural systems are being affected by natural disasters, droughts, and rising sea levels. And for the Pacific, boosting local food production and building resilient agri-food systems are not just development targets, they are essential for our survival. To support these efforts, we all acknowledge that the effectiveness of our policies and strategies depend on access to accurate, timely, and relevant information. Put simply, without reliable data, effective action is not possible. Today's dialogue provides a valuable opportunity to share practical, proven approaches to strengthen data systems across SIDS, so that we are better positioned to make informed, evidence-based decisions. In the Pacific, we are already taking steps. At the 2024 Pacific SIDS Solutions Forum, co-hosted by the FAO and the government of Fiji last year, in November, the region united under the theme, Transforming Agri-Food Systems for a Blue Pacific Continent through better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life. A key message from the forum was the importance of localized, people-centered data systems, especially in responding to climate change and disaster risks. Data gaps remain a major obstacle for many Pacific countries. Addressing them requires strong leadership, regional cooperation, and inclusive partnerships, not only between governments and development partners, but also with private sector, to ensure access to markets, finance, and technologies for smallholder farmers. The forum also highlighted several locally developed solutions, including Fiji's integrated agricultural management system, which uses survey, satellite, and field data to monitor key trends and SDG indicators. 2, mobile-based data collections like the FAO's DIM and the World Food Programme's MFAM2, which support countries such as Vanuatu, Samoa, Kiribati in collecting real-time food security data, even during emergencies. The Tupaya platform used in Fiji, Papua New Guinea, Tonga, and Palau, which integrates cross-sectoral data to support decision-making at the local level. And fourthly, and the inclusion of agriculture modules in national census, such as in Tuvalu, in Kiribati, which is a cost-effective way to gather critical agriculture data where standalone surveys are not feasible. In my own country, Vanuatu, we recently completed our national census, agriculture census, in 2022, 15 years after the last one was done in 2007. The data gathered had been vital, not only for agricultural planning, but also for post-disaster recovery, including after tropical cyclones such as Judy and Kevin. The results have been very interesting, but it shows that that agriculture is that 87.3% of households are involved in agriculture work, and there are many, many more other exciting data that came out from that census. We are pleased to note that today's dialogue features a county presentation from Fiji to be delivered by Ms. Sanyana Christiana, Chief Economist at the Ministry of Agriculture and Waterways. The presentation will offer practical insights that other SIDS can draw on. Colleagues, I wish to underline that data systems are the foundation of good policy. They help us respond faster, plan better, and ensure no one is left behind. I look forward to the rich discussions and exchange ahead, and working together to ensure that all SIDS have access to the data needed for resilient and sustainable development. On behalf of the Pacific, I also express a commitment to working closely with the FAO to continue advancing tailored approaches and solutions for SIDS. In that spirit, we warmly welcome the presence of Ms. Yao, the lead director of the FAO Office for SIDS, LDCs and LLDCs, and we look forward to strong collaboration under your leadership. I thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Antas, for delivering opening remarks on behalf of the Pacific Island Forum, for indeed referring to the specificities of the Pacific, and including the challenges you are facing, and therefore the importance of building a resilient agri-food system, for which, in the policy making, data is absolutely reliable. Data is absolutely critical, and as you say, data is the foundation of good policy. So thank you very much for your opening remarks. And now I will move to my colleague, Rosero Moncayo, the Chief Statistician and Director of the FAO Statistics Division. Jose coordinates the portfolio of proven cost-effective and innovative solutions for collecting key food and agriculture data. And Mr. Rosero will provide an insightful overview of the current trends in data and statistics for SIDS. So, Jose, over to you.
Thank you, Dominic, and good morning, good afternoon, actually, to all of you, Your Excellencies and distinguished participants. I am in reality honored to be part of this SIDS Solutions Dialogue that today we'll discuss about and reflect about the vital role that timely and quality statistics and data has on fostering sustainable development across the SIDS. Our focus in this session will be about how we can strengthen the different processes that lead to the production, the analysis, and dissemination of quality data to drive informed decision-making and, of course, effective policy implementation. As a chief statistician of FAO, I'm always thrilled whenever I see that the data and statistics are put on top of the policy agenda. Because in reality, data is commonly seen as an afterthought, when in reality, as the different ambassadors that precede me rightly pointed out, they should be at the beginning of every single discussion because of the power that they have in order to guide policy making and, of course, monitor or guide us in the implementation, and of course to evaluate the results of the different policies that we have implemented. So in that sense, I praise the decision to have a discussion on data in this specific group. Indeed, data has been highlighted as a priority in the previous as a priority by countries in the Caribbean and also in the Pacific in many of the recent meetings of our governing bodies in FAO. We have discussed about the importance of data and also the different type of problems of producing and analyzing data on the 13th Asian Pacific Commission of Agricultural Statistics, also in the 32nd Latin American and the Caribbean Commission of Agricultural Statistics, and in different recent sessions of our FAO Council, Program Committee, etc., right? So there is a big and important momentum to bring data on the top of this policy agenda. Okay, let's continue. So now, the fact is that the SIDS face significant challenges in terms of data availability. And this is characterized by the scarcity of timely information and of critical statistics. All of this in a context of growing demand for timely and quality statistics, of course, being fed by different demands coming from national agendas, from regional agendas, and from global agendas such as the SDGs. There is a lot of pressure, okay, for the data community at the national level and the international level in order to produce data and statistics to monitor these development agendas. But at the same time, with a lot of challenges that I'm going to refer in a minute. But before going to the challenges, let me give you a little bit of data in terms of the situation of data scarcity that exists in the region. Let me start by saying that if we talk about the most basic statistics, here I'm talking about a statistic about production of crops and livestock. We can basically see that 60% of the Caribbean countries produce annually these data, and only 29% of the Pacific countries produce this type of basic statistics. So the data gaps are big. Another figure that I can say is that only 15% of the SIDS produce and disseminate annual food security data. The food security is an important and key aspect on the development agenda, national and international. We only have 50% of the SID countries producing and disseminating this type of data. Only 50% of the SIDS countries report data on fisheries, especially the ones that are related with the sustainable development agenda. And again, we are talking about a sector, fisheries, that is very much important for the small island developing states. And more in general, if we talk about the average reporting rate of the SIDS on SDG indicators, this is 50%. Which means that on average, a country is able to report 11 out of the 21 indicators that relate to food and agriculture. Okay, again, another example of what are the gaps, okay? What are the scarcity of data that we have in for the SIDS countries. If we go to the next slide, let me basically put it in the context of what it is the global level. And here again, I am referring to the overall ability of the region, the SIDS in this case, of reporting SDG indicators. I was saying that currently 49 or 50% of the indicators can be basically reported by the SIDS countries, and this compares with the 65% that is the average of the world. Okay. So if it is true that we are seeing basically a positive trend, okay, so and that is happening on the SIDS as well. More and more there is more data in order to report on SDGs, but in any case there is no convergence to what it is the average of for the world. Let's continue with the next slide. Now, this situation of data scarcity or data gaps, as we call it, doesn't happen randomly. Of course, it is explained by a combination of factors that serve as an obstacle to produce and disseminate data. There are structural factors, okay, such as the inherent logistical problems to do data collection operations in a context where some of the islands are remote and dispersed, and access is a problem. This is particularly the case in many of the Pacific countries. There are also limitations on the existing capacity, okay, important limitations of statistical capacity inside of the institutions that have the mandate to produce data in a continuous way. That together with the lack of adequate technological infrastructure hinders the adoption of modern and effective methods of data collection, analysis, and dissemination. So it is the combination of limited capacities and inadequate technological infrastructure that actually creates a burden for the adoption of new technologies in the context of the SIDS. There is also the factor of regular data collection, because even if some data is collected, it doesn't mean that it's regularly collected. Okay, there are multiple cases of data being collected for one specific year or because of one specific context, but then never repeated. So we of course limit the continuous monitoring of the different indicators in the national and regional and global development agenda. There are fragmentation of efforts. That's another thing that has been observed in the SIDS, but it's not endemic on the SIDS only. I mean, it happens as well in other contexts. But it's basically the case in which there is fragmentation among various agencies that are within the country that are responsible of data collection. And this, of course, leads to gaps in data coverage, but also duplication and inconsistencies in information that is being generated. Of course, there are resource constraints, limited financial resources that are devoted to data collection, and this is an important factor to explain the persistent situation of scarcity in data. And that has to do as well with the case of the ineligibility for international funding that most of the SID countries have, because the condition of being the majority of the countries high middle income countries, okay, is what is known as the development trap. So countries that are considered already to be outside of the funds of international cooperation because they are considered to be middle high income countries, right? When there is still a lot of support needed, especially for strengthening capacities. So it is vital then that we address these gaps and obstacles. If not, of course, the capacity that SID countries have to provide evidence to policymaking is seriously compromised. Let's go to the next one. So, in terms of way forward, in order to overcome these challenges, we must strategically strengthen our statistical systems throughout the SIDS. And let me basically highlight the part of strategic strengthening. Okay? And what does this mean? Means that first we need to prioritize our efforts. Okay? We cannot do all at the same time, so we need to prioritize our efforts, identifying, of course, proven solutions and cost-effective methods to address these data gaps. Second, and it's very important in strategic terms, we need collaborative efforts at all levels. We can do much more joining forces with others. And this type of collaborative efforts are needed within the countries, between institutions inside of the countries, but also between SID countries that can share experience and good practices, and why not also to even think in terms of joint data collection efforts. And also, of course, collaboration between the countries and international organizations in order to transfer the knowledge, and of course, collaboration with the donor community that can basically provide resources. Now, finally, and this is a third factor in this strategic thinking, we need innovation. We need innovation through the adoption of new technologies and alternative data sources. And this is needed because we need to reduce costs, and we need to fill data in an accelerated manner. So everything basically that can come in order to fill data gaps coming from the new technologies and alternative data sources is very much welcome for this, to fulfill this objective. Next. Now, there are several existing solutions that can help bridge these data gaps in the SIDS. And let me refer to some of them. Here you will find an inventory that is not complete, but at least is the ones that I would like to highlight because of the potential that they have to fill data gaps. So they can divide it into groups. The first one go more into the information, the type of information they can provide, and those are from 1 to 4. And the two last ones are there because of the catalytic effect, okay, that they have, because this includes innovation, technology, and capacity development. Okay, so let's start first with the ones that are more linked to the typology information that they can provide. So the first one has to do basically with the creation of information systems, okay, that are based on what it is considered to be the backbone of agricultural statistics. That is, of course, the agricultural censuses that many of you have already referred to, and agricultural censuses that, as you probably know, they happen every 10 years, and that's why they need to be accompanied with a continuous system of surveys in between the different censuses, right? So it is not enough to collect an agricultural census. We need as well to collect periodically information of the agricultural sector in order to be able to describe the situation on the ground. So going to a system of agricultural census and survey, it is a way to go. Of course, we should be able as well to try to use, whenever possible, the administrative records that the different national institutions produce, especially the ministers of agriculture. And this is important to say because not all administrative records have been created for statistical purposes. Nevertheless, they exist and they can be used with a little bit of effort. They could be used or adapted to be used for statistical purposes. So the logic is that if they are already there, why not to join with the institution that produced them and adapt them, okay, a little bit. This is the extra mile that is needed, but we already provide some information that is needed to characterize the agricultural sector. Now, in terms of food security and information on diets, it is important that we promote and collect household surveys that can basically give an account of the food that is consumed inside of the country. That's the example of the household income and expenditure survey, but in every single country they are called differently. Okay? They are called food consumption surveys, they are called living condition surveys, but in any case, surveys that can include a model that can describe what do we eat. Okay, that's very much important to see which is the type of the quality of the diet that we consume and how we can have an effect, okay, in those type of diets. At the same time, include in these household surveys food security information, food security data that will allow us basically to compute food security indicators, such as the food security experience scale model that we are very much working on the Caribbean countries and also in the Pacific ones. Of course, we need as well information nutritional outcomes. Here I'm talking about wasting, stunting, diversity of the diets, obesity that is very much increasing in the Caribbean and also in the Pacific countries. And for that, of course, there are certain vehicles that can collect this information, such as the demographic and health surveys, also it has been hit by the recent cuts in USAID. And of course, the multiple indicator cluster surveys or mix that UNICEF collects. Okay, so these are vehicles that the countries can partner with in order to collect this type of data. Of course, it is important to have information on the impact of disasters on agriculture. The SIDS countries are countries that are very much vulnerable to the conditions of the weather-related events. And of course, to strengthen the system that allows to have information making post-disaster need assessments is important as well. Now, let me go to a different type of solutions, which I basically more or less label them as ones that have catalytic effects. So one of them is the modernization of our data collection methods. That is crucial. And here I'm talking about the utilization of mobile technology, especially in the case of emergencies, is a very much welcome solution, as the one that the DM is doing. Of course, using air observation data in order to be able to describe what is happening in the ground. This is very much an important tool that allows us to predict what is going to be the food availability of the country in a specific year, right? So, because sometimes the surveys that we collect are a little bit archaeological, right? They collect data on what has happened in the last year, but sometimes, and especially the Minister of Agriculture will coincide with me, that they need data not of yesterday, they need data of today. And air observation data can give you data of today. And not only that, it can basically be used to calibrate models that can have some kind of predictive power to nowcast or to forecast what will happen in the years to come. Of course, we also have to work on strengthening the statistical capacities of the national statistical offices or the institutions that have to produce agricultural and food statistics. And there are specific models already that can accelerate this type of strengthening of capacities. And I'm going to refer to some of them in my next slides. Next, please. So let me talk about this solution that is called the Global Strategy for Agricultural and Rural Statistics, which is basically, in essence, is a cost-effective solution to enhance country statistical capacities. This is based on a successful model that has been implemented in other parts of the world, such as Africa or Central and South Asia, that right now it is basically, I mean, our efforts are to transfer this type of solution as well to the Pacific and to the Caribbean. How does it work? Okay, so the approach is based on 3 pillars for capacity development. The first one is training, okay, training of staff of National Statistical Office or ministries, line ministries, based on module packages that are tailored to the needs of the countries, okay? Because here the idea is not to go there with a recipe in which the recipe fits all, right? The idea is to listen to the needs of the countries. Sometimes within a sub-region, there are commonalities, right? So going to the sub-region, listen to the commonalities, and then explore as well the specificities of every single one of the countries. And based on that, build model packages that can be used in order to train the staff of the National Statistical Office or ministries. So some of the packages that we have right now for training covers data on agricultural production, farm economy, food losses, food insecurity, but as well packages on how to build sampling, how to make master sample frames, how to collect data of small scale fisheries, how to disseminate data. That is not as simple as it looks. And of course, how to use statistical tools in order to analyze information and calculate indicators. So these are basically different type of packages that at the country level, the countries decide on which of these packages they need the most, right? And if it is basically as well a common, if there are common denominators between countries within the region, we even organize technical trainings that include different countries. The second step or the second pillar of this approach is in-country technical assistance. Okay, because once staff has been trained, they need as well to have the practical expertise. And that's why the technical assistance is formed. So let's just put an example. Let's say that for the country, estimating food losses was important. So they received training on food losses, on how to collect food losses. And then with the technical assistance, what FAO does is that supports the country on the ground on the collection of a pilot or even the beginning of a national survey on food losses. That's why that's what the technical assistance is for. And the third pillar is the support on data collection. Okay, here we basically mention food security statistics just because the support on data collection on agricultural and fishery statistics is part of the next slide and is part of another program that I'm going to tell you about. But just to say that the approach is that after training and technical assistance, of course, data collection has to happen. Okay, and there is of course the support of FAO in order to ensure that data collection is done with the quality that it is needed. So yeah, let me refer in the previous slide just that this program, as I am saying, we have already started working with the Pacific countries. So let me refer a little bit with the Pacific countries. So we have already received funds from Australia. Australia and New Zealand are very much interested in supporting the Pacific countries through this initiative. And we have received funds to already articulate the first pillar of this approach, the one of training. Okay, and we are actually starting this year, and we have planned already regional trainings in June, and one in June and one in September, if my memory is not playing with me. But just to mention that we have started. Okay. With the Caribbean, we are right now working, and this is something that we will start. We have just started, but we are working together with CARICOM, okay, to put together a concept note on how this global strategy would look like in the Caribbean, right? So for that we are working with the CARICOM, and of course more to come on that. Just to say, with the Pacific countries, we are working with SPCs, with the South Pacific community. And again, that is important because our approach is not to duplicate actions that other regional institutions are doing. It's better to partner with them, okay, build on what they are doing. And actually our intention is to strengthen those regional organizations for them to continue with these processes in the future as well. Let's go with the next one. So now let me talk to you about another initiative, and this is about data collection on agricultural and fishery data, and this is called the 50 by 2030 initiative. This is a multi-agency partnership to transform agricultural data systems. That it is right now. It is true that it is that aims to support 50 low and lower middle income countries by 2030, but it builds a model that right now we are taking it to countries that are not necessarily low and lower middle income countries. And I'm going to explain to you later how we are doing this with the Pacific countries already. So which is the approach of the 50 by 2030? This is an approach of collecting data through annual agricultural surveys to create a system that of data collection that happens within the agricultural censuses, between the agricultural censuses, that is supposed to produce data that the agricultural and fishery sector needs in order to guide policy. It is done using a modular approach. There is a core survey that is collected every single year. And there is models that are not supposed to be collected every year, that are supposed to be collected every 2 or every 3 years, because they have data that are more structured. Okay, so for example, you don't need to collect information about machinery in agriculture every single year. Okay, then the advice is to collect it every 2 or 3 years, because that's a little bit more structured. So the 50 by 2030 initiative uses a financial model that combines resources, okay, coming from the World Bank. This is the case of the IDA, IBRD resources for that collection, and that is for data collection, and donor contribution for the technical assistance. Okay, so the idea is that the donor contribution The technical assistant can basically leverage a bigger pool of funding that is basically in the World Bank and can be accessed by countries. This initiative contains a data use component because one thing that is important to say is that data has to be produced not for the sake of producing data. It has to be produced for the sake of informing policymakers. Okay, so it has to be used. But even if this will seem like a joke, the generation of data doesn't necessarily imply that the data is going to be used. Okay, bridges have to be made between the data that is out there and the use of that data. And that's why this initiative has a component of data use in order to not only increase awareness of the data that exists in the line ministries and in the eyes of the policymakers, but also to support the line ministries on the use of that data for the generation of reports or the generation of policies. Let me refer now on what we are doing right now with the 50 by 2030 and the SIDS. And here I'm going to refer again to the Pacific countries, because currently there are 7 Pacific countries that are in negotiations with the World Bank to access for the resources for data collection on agriculture and fisheries. And this is a process that basically will lead to the signing of this regional instrument, because it's going to be a regional loan, the World Bank, to the 7 Pacific countries that are going to be fed in this model of the 50 by 2030 initiative. So currently, we are mobilizing resources for the technical assistance component that will be able to unlock the possibilities of the implementation of these resources for data collection. Next. Okay, so let me just summarize what I have presented in terms of several key recommendations to effectively bridge data gaps. So first, we need to prioritize the strengthening of the capacity capacity development of the statistical capacities in the statistical offices. We need to enhance the use of standardized methods at the moment that we are collecting data. It is important that we leverage the use of administrative data whenever is possible. Additionally, we need to invest in ICT infrastructure and leverage innovation in order to be able to get ourselves on board of the developments of the technology and data science methods that exist nowadays. We need to foster collaboration and partnerships. It is important to see this, to see it from the perspective that we are not alone in this challenge of collecting data and analyzing data. There is always a possibility of doing collaboration partnerships in order to do more and do it more efficiently. We need to be better in terms of mobilizing resources for data initiative. It's not easy to mobilize resources for data initiatives. So we need to be better to do that. And of course, we have to enhance data use for decision making. We need to work with the policymakers in terms of the value of the data and how it can be used for the decision making processes. Together, all of these steps can pave the way for a more data smart approach to agricultural development in the SIDS countries. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jose, for such a comprehensive presentation and super well articulated. But I would say this is what we can expect from a chief statistician, to be very well organized and structured in the presentation. I mean, I would like to confirm to all participants that we will make sure that the presentation is shared, and that even a number of very useful links are also provided. For example, I just got a message with the link of the data in emergencies. So, I mean, Ian, which is very interesting, one of the many things Jose referred to, and we will make sure that this is shared with you. So thank you again, Jose, for such a presentation. No, and you will have opportunity, of course, to ask questions to Jose as we move forward. But no, we'll hear from two different country perspectives, Trinidad and Tobago and then Fiji, on the potential of enhancing timely access to food security and agricultural data and statistics. And we'll start with Mr. Tyrone Gopal, with senior statistician in the agriculture division of the Central Statistical Office in Trinidad and Tobago. And Mr. Gopal, Trinidad and Tobago and FAO have recently collaborated on a number of initiatives to strengthen the collection and dissemination of food security statistics in your country. What were the main challenges that you have been facing in producing such good quality data, and what have been the main benefit from your collaboration with FAO? Thank you for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you for hearing me. Can you confirm you're hearing me?
Yes, very well. Thank you.
Okay. I'm Tyrone Gopal from Central Statistical Office, Trinidad and Tobago. I will have to share my screen, or will the presentation be run by FAO in Rome?
You can,
like you prefer.
as you prefer, so we can share from Geneva, or you can share yourself.
Okay, I would prefer you can share from Geneva.
Sharing.
Okay, then.
Okay. So I would like to begin my presentation. This is a field of lettuce, actual lettuce we actually had on the ground. Thank you. Could we get to the next slide? Hello?
Yes, it's coming. Thank you. Oh, there we go.
So it's well.
Okay, for today's presentation, I would like to talk about these 9 points. I will not go through it now. We will go through it as we go through the slide. Next slide, please. Okay, this is an introduction to our audience who may not be familiar with Trinidad and Tobago. So as you can see on the left side, it's an island, it's a twin island state. We are at the end of the Caribbean, the list of Caribbean islands. I give you some basic information, some basic characteristics of what will make Trinidad and Tobago as SID. Tobago only constitutes 6% of the total land area and the total population of Tobago compared to Trinidad is only about 5%. Our last population housing census was 2011. We have some challenges in doing our population census in the 2020 round. Our current estimated population is about 1.4 million persons. Unlike other SIDS, probably who depend on agriculture and tourism, we tend to have a high GDP per capita, mainly because of our exports. We export petroleum, iron and steel, but 4 products basically make up 80% of our exports in terms of value. And that is why we have such a high GDP per capita. And in terms of what our economy is really based on, we are largely an open economy. We need to export to get money. And from that money, that is what we buy goods and services. So we buy and trade a lot. That is why our GDP is 25% under trade. Manufacturing is currently growing. We have like 16%. And under the mining and quarry, we do have some petroleum and natural gas into that. So this is a slide that gives you a small profile of what Trinidad and Tobago looks as a SID. Next slide, please. Right, so this is in terms of agriculture data and agriculture statistics, we have two main compilers. We have the Ministry of Agriculture that deals with the forestry and fishery statistics. And we have the Central Statistical Office that deals with the crops and livestock. So we have done 4 agricultural censuses in our lifetime. The first agricultural census was done in 1946. I was not able to get some information on that. The Central Statistical Office started in 1955. So the 1946 agri-census was done under the colonial government. This gives you a snapshot of what we have. So in terms of the 4 censuses, on average, we are doing an agricultural census every 15 years. We are currently overdue for one. And as I go through the presentation, I will explain more about that. But as you realize what has happened historically over the years, the number of holdings has decreased. And even the land area that is allocated to agriculture has also decreased. And one of the reasons for this, we benefited in 1973 to 1979, there was an oil boom. And in 1993, say 1996, we benefited from a natural gas boom. So when we got all those, we benefit from a lot of income from what we sold our products about. There was a move away from the agricultural sector, unfortunately, because the population not only benefited from increases in wages, people were able to buy more. So our propensity to import went up. Wages in other sectors went up. And it was very hard to grow the agricultural sector. As I said, we have not done a recent agricultural census. It is in the plans, but I will explain further down as we go what will happen. Next slide, please. So in the CSO Agriculture Division in 2022, this is a snapshot of what existed. I thank Dr. Jose because in his previous presentation, he basically talked about a lot of these things. The CSO Agriculture Division in Trinidad and Tobago at present, the staff consists of a total of 6 persons in the office. And in terms of field staff, we have a total of 20 field staff, and that includes both Trinidad and Tobago. So with 6 persons, 20 field staff, this is the situation with the Agriculture Division in 2022. So we weren't doing much for agriculture SDG monitoring. We don't have enough resources to do the other agricultural statistics, so the cost of production statistics, the food losses, those other things. Our production was very minimum. We are familiar with the core minimum data set in the global strategy, but we were able to only produce more on the production side because we do do the production, the crops and livestock surveys that enable us to complete those. Our modernization of methodology and practices is what we have started today, and I will explain that further as we go along. We still use PAPI, which is paper and pencil, as of today. And as previously stated, our last agri-census was 2004. We are in 2025. That is totally outdated, and that needs to be rectified going forward. Next slide, please. So at present, we are in a TCP arrangement with the FAO. This TCP began in November 2023. It will expire in November 2025. 3 of the projects we are using that TCP to focus on was the FAIS, the Food Instability Experience Scale. And these are some of the stages where we have reached today. The FAIS was included in our household budgetary survey of living conditions. When we began the survey, as usual, we experienced challenges in the survey, so we had to extend our collection period. The questionnaire was very extensive and exhaustive. But we had problems in my country. We have problems in accessing respondents in gated communities. We also had some issues of interviewers dropping out, and we also had some problems with crime in certain areas. We included only 5 questions. Our average response rate to the survey was 90%. We got the information, we submitted it to the FAO regional office. And these, what you're seeing on the left side of the screen, those are some preliminary analysis that was completed by the FAO Caribbean office. So that has not been published. The results can also be processed in terms of Trinidad and Tobago is divided into 15 regional administrative areas. It can also be processed in terms of ethnicity. So the unpublished results for the FAOs as of now, this is by the head of household, moderate, and severe. And severe, those are the percentages on the left-hand side. The next steps is for the Central Statistical Office to publish the data. Once it's finalized, to publish the data on the website. But we do need some permission from our parent ministry, which is the Ministry of Planning and Development. And that is what we are currently working on, to get the permission from our parent to put it on the CSO website. Next slide, please. Another part of this TCP arrangement, we have also decided to redesign our food crop surveys. Now, our present food crop survey, again, that was also dated. It doesn't reflect all the agricultural production and processing that was existing today in 2025. Our present food crop survey came from a 1982. We received assistance in 1982 from the United States Department of Agriculture. And it was very based on area sampling. And we identified areas on the ground in 1982, together with the Ministry of Agriculture, where food crops were being produced for the population. But as time has gone on, as you recognize, because of not only industrialization, but people's lifestyles have changed. And a lot of the areas we were collecting this data from food crops no longer existed. So we started like 162 area samples, to get collected. Now we are down like to about 60. So we are using part of the TCP to redesign our new survey, and you will see that in the next slide, so that we'll be able to present a current, more accurate picture of what we produce and what we process on the ground. Also, as previously said in the previous slide, we will be using tablets to replace our pen and pencil. We do have expectations that this new survey will produce more information for our stakeholders who have already indicated some deficiencies that what exists. And this survey will also provide information for us to add and to monitor more agriculture SDGs than we do at present. Next slide, please. So third collaboration under this TCP with FAO was the cost and affordability of healthy diets that was previously discussed in the by Dr. Jose. This is the first time we are doing the cost and affordability of healthy diets. We got the information from our CPI. We sent it to FAO, our representative in the Caribbean, 5 years, and he was able to calculate our figures at what you see on the screen, which is $17.20 in 2022 per average per day per person. And in 2023, I can't see the slide. It went up to 2022. How does our cost of healthy diets per person compare to the Caribbean and to the rest of the world? Well, the 2022 average is still lower than the Caribbean average of $34.98 TT. And how do our cost of healthy diets compare to the global figure? The global figure in 2022 was $26.85 TT. So our cost of healthy diet is still lower than the global figure. There's a lot of work that has been done in the Caribbean region with this. And I think Trinidad and Tobago and Belize will be presenting in our regional workshop, again organized by FAO, the Barbados office. Next month, between May 5th and the 9th, we are inviting the entire CARICOM region, one representative from the CSO and one representative, I believe it is from Ministry of Agriculture or Ministry of Health, where these results will be released. I will also show them how it was computed in an effort to encourage them to also calculate these indicators going forward. Next slide, please. Very quickly, this is how the cost of healthy diets, if you realize after the COVID period ended, there was a spike in food prices on the left-hand side. Also, the cost of healthy diets, the compilation, you could also do it by sub-regionally, sub-nationally. So we have one figure for the country, and we also have a figure for areas within the country. Next slide, please. The cost of healthy diets also, previous slide. The cost of healthy diets also, it doesn't have, normally, it's not following the food inflation rate. If you realize there's a gap between the cost of healthy diets and the food inflation rate. I guess that depends on what exactly you put in your basket on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, I'm also showing you there, Trinidad and Tobago is divided into 15 regional corporations. So this is one regional corporation called San Fernando. You can actually get the cost of health, the individual item we use in the basket per a person per day. You can actually do that with this system. Next slide, please. Okay, so summary and policy implications as of today. The FAO's data, three things I've shown. The FAO's data has not been officially released as yet. The cost of healthy diets has now recently been compiled by the FAO Caribbean office, and the redesign of the food crop survey is an ongoing process. So as of today, in terms of policy, it's too early to assess where we will be going with these three initiatives. But we do have future meetings to be held with relevant stakeholders to explain the nature of what was completed and what was ongoing. Next slide, please. So what are my benefits? What are the benefits of collaborating with the FAO? And practically these things were done in like 3 years. There was a greater visibility of the agricultural statistics versus other statistics, as most people know from, if you're from an NSO, they tend to put more emphasis on the population, the national accounts, etc. We have benefited from the knowledge transfer and capacity building. The gaps in agricultural statistics are being slowly addressed. It might not be addressed as fast as we would like, but it's being addressed. The agriculture SDG indicators have been revived with the design of the new National Agriculture Survey. The modernization of instrument survey design and procedures is ongoing because we'll be using tablets. And a very important point, more interest has been shown by the younger professionals in my organization to be a part of these exercises. Hopefully this momentum can be continued well into the 2030s. And last slide. Last slide, please. So these are my recommendations to other SIDS online and other SIDS in the room to improve. If you want to improve your food security and agricultural services, Trinidad and Tobago, yes, we have challenges. We have challenges within the NSO. We have challenges within the ministry. But you should engage your FAO regional coordinator and always maintain a relationship with FAO. We were able to identify the data gaps in agriculture. We were able to actually make plans to correct those data gaps. We are committing to doing an agricultural census, because if you do have an agricultural census, it's easier to do the frame update and to do the sample design for future surveys. But our agricultural census is being delayed by our not being able to do our population housing census. You do need to have a change leader for the food security and agriculture statistics in the ministry or the statistical office. If you have for both, that will be very good. And what we also realize, if you can do 1 or 2 agricultural projects per year, depending on what your capacity is, that will be able to maintain interest not only within the organization, but also on staff and stakeholders. We did set timelines well in advance, and there were adequate budgets to do these projects. So it's not to say that we were over budgeted. And my last point, I think, is you would have to have, because as I said, you need to have some patience and some flexibility and some persistence to see your projects go through, because sometimes it could be a very tiring task to do some of these things going forward. I thank you. I think this is the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gopal, for your presentation on the challenges and benefits of producing quality food security data and statistics. In Trinidad and Tobago, you have certainly covered a lot of ground, and we are very grateful to that. We have noticed that you have put the need to always maintain a relationship with FAO as a key point. We certainly subscribe to that. Now that we are more familiar with the context in Trinidad and Tobago, let us hear from Fiji with a video message from Fiji. I guess because of the time difference,
Yeah.
It was very convenient to do that. And this is a message from Miss Sanyana Kirisi Tiana, who is the chief economist of the Fiji Ministry of Agriculture and Waterway.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sanyana Christiana, currently the Acting Chief Agriculture Economist for the Ministry of Agriculture and Waterways. Thank you for the opportunity to present on behalf of the Pacific Small Island Development States on this topic. Briefly about the Agriculture Production Survey. Before that, Fiji's agriculture sector is significant to the economy based on its contribution to GDP and also contribution to the total domestic export value. In the past years, there's been a high frequency of extreme weather events and floodings. There have been tropical cyclone category 5, category 3 in the past years for Pacific Small Island Development States, which poses risk on the sustainability of agriculture sector. Thus, the importance of having availability of data to assess, evaluate, and inform decision makers on the status of sustainability, nutrition supply, prevailing prices, and other challenges that may affect the sector now and in the future. So that is why we conducted the Agriculture Production Survey in 2024, one of its kind, through assistance of FAO, conducted between census periods. There were 4 objectives for the survey, as articulated, as shown on the screen, to estimate, validate agriculture production data, to measure Fiji's performance as SDG farm-based indicators, assess agriculture sustainability status, and baseline for a 5-year strategic development plan. These are the metadata that is relevant in justifying the relevancy of using this APS data for decision making, but findings from these upcoming slides are all preliminary, as we're in the process of finalizing the data with our FAO counterparts. For SDG indicator 2.3.1, 2.3.2, small scale food producers in Fiji, with the criteria being provided in point 1, it has revealed that 83% of agriculture households in Fiji are small-scale food producers. This is one of the very important information that came out in this survey, which now has been accepted and considered by the ministry in setting for the small-scale smallholder farmers policy and program for the next budget cycle. So from the preliminary result, small-scale food producers Labor productivity is 448 Fijian dollar, which is 8.6 times less than the medium or large scale food producers. Its productivity is high, labor productivity is high in the Western and Central, in Suba, which is obvious considering their access to all the services that will boost their productivity. The average income on small scale is around $8,578, 2 times more than the average income of SSP households headed by women. So this is nothing higher than what the ministry has been getting in terms of the agriculture, small scale food producers income, and as well as the percentage to the total farmers income. In terms of 2.4.1, it has been identified here, shown here on the dashboard, that 81% of Fiji's agriculture area is unsustainable. This can be due to the commodity that is heavily planted by farmers in Fiji, which is ngona or kava. It does not require a lot of use of water and a use of agro inputs, but is planted on hilly lands, which is why you can see there's a high percentage for use of biodiversity supportive practices, which is non-sustainable and acceptable in this case. But it's due for further research once the data is validated and finalized from FAO. From that, 30.2% of the agricultural holdings were unprofitable as per the response from our farmers or households. On-farm diversification is the main risk mitigation adopted by agriculture holdings, and low resilience on agriculture holdings with 25.4 not adopting risk mitigation mechanisms, and 61.2 adopting only one. In terms of 5.8.1, with the criteria and the definition set forth, the result preliminary 30.7.3 of household members of agriculture holdings have secure land tenure rights over the agricultural land. Women have 2.7 less chance to have secure ownership or secure tenure rights of the agricultural land compared to. In conclusion, APS or SDG fund-based indicators is really relevant in guiding our national policy, particularly for small-scale food producers and labor productivity. For now, our new national development plan and our strategic development plan has put forth two policies that is specific in addressing the APS or the farm-based indicators findings, which are the improved community resilience and adoption of sustainable resource management and climate smart agriculture, and increased income and productivity of smallholder farmers in Fiji. These are the two policies being put forth in the National Development Plan in Fiji as in response to the farm-based indicators findings from the APS. So there's a dedicated program, a new program that will be recommended in the next budget cycle to address these smallholder farmers. So robust data on land ownership and tenure rights for women provide crucial evidence for design appropriate policies in addressing gender gap in the agriculture sector. For these, itself has proven a good track record of FAO support to small island development states, particularly implementing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And we are so thankful that platforms such as Pacific SIDS Solutions Forum allows the Pacific Island countries, small island development states to facilitate knowledge sharing in accelerating progress for achieving the SDGs. And we are so thankful for the ongoing support from FAO to Pacific Small Island Development States in developing agriculture statistics, in assisting in terms of collection of farm-based indicators in addressing data gaps and offering trainings and technical assistance. And I believe now the there has been increased number of islands in the Pacific that is now using the farm-based indicators in their agriculture production survey, which is a good reflection of the technical capacity program that has been undertaken by FAO. So once again, thank you so much for the technical assistance that has helped Fiji to produce these farm-based indicators and comparable to all other developed countries or small island development states. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fiji, virtually, but thank you, Fiji. I think it was very good to have, with that, perhaps we can take one or two questions in the room, and then we'll move to the final part of the meeting, acknowledging that we will be a bit beyond the initial agenda. So, perhaps if you can say.
Yes, hello
your
everyone.
affiliation
My name is Onno Hofmeister from UNCTAD Statistics Division. I shall transmit my best greetings from Anu Peltola, our director. Unfortunately, she cannot join the meeting today, but asked me also to review a little, to share with you a little bit what we are doing. First of all, I think it's impressive what FAO is doing on this front. And of course, when it comes to SIDS, agriculture and nutrition, it's much about the ocean. And therefore, it is just logical that our team in UNCTAD, which is dealing with the ocean economy, is working jointly together with the FAO Fisheries Department. And we are really happy that at the next Ocean Conference, we will have a joint pavilion where we will really focus on how the resources from the oceans, much of it fisheries, but also algae, can be used and retrieved. Very briefly, I also want to share with you a few activities which we are doing in statistics capacity building in the Caribbean. Unfortunately, at the moment, not so much in the Fiji. We will also have projects in the Pacific. We also have projects there. But we focus in our activities very much like you, that we think policy analysis follows statistics. So we try to offer both in one package so that we can start with statistics, implementing so that the data have a good evidence, and that the countries have a good evidence base. And then based on that, we continue doing policy analysis, roadmaps, if we can, also national action plans or something like that. We are doing that at the moment in one project, which is just starting, is where we help countries to measure their fisheries activities and transport, maritime transport, and their carbon emissions using the newest data sources which are around, satellite data, and using also latest methods of statistics. And it's important that the countries can own their data, that they have that production system in place so that they can use these statistics also later to do their research. Other projects are about transport and food security in the Caribbean. Prices for food are very high, partly because the transport is quite expensive. And we are looking into that, always working together closely with CARICOM. We have another project on TISTAT, which is not so much about food, but many countries, as we saw also in the presentation, have much potential in services, tourism, for example. And we help them to build up statistical systems for data collection of services statistics based on a module which we developed with the West African Union. And finally, what I want to mention, PCI, Productive Capacities Project. Again, we help to set up capacities for statistics production, to look into the different components of the PCI, which is important for the upgrading also of LDCs. And so just to share with you that what we are doing, and I'm sorry that...
No, thank you very much for that. Thank you, sir. Any comments? Yeah.
So, well, I have a comment, and just to say thank you very much for the invitation. I'm joining from ITU, and we have a new unit that is dedicated to LDCs, LLDCs, and SIDS. And we are trying to really mainstream the activities that we're doing on support specifically to these countries, trying to map out what ITU is doing in these countries. For the sake of time, I just want to give a brief what I say that ITU is mainstreaming the needs of the world of the most vulnerable countries that, as we have heard, also go through the presentations here. In the activities and programs that we develop, tailored program of assistance, such areas of technology and network development, regulation, capacity building, and emerging telecommunications, enabling them to fully participate in the information and knowledge society. And we are providing concentrated assistance to these countries and countries in special needs as well. So the unit mission is to foster partnerships with agencies like FAO that we hope to continue like really engaging meaningfully to harness the full potential of digital technology through our core expertise and collaborative effort. So we will strive to create an environment where connectivity becomes a catalyst for positive change, enabling these nations to build resilient, knowledge-driven countries and foster social progress. In countries like, I want to give just two examples, in countries like Mauritius and Seychelles, where I implemented a project on early warning systems, where ITU is leading on communication and dissemination, supporting the provision of necessary technical inputs towards strengthening early warning risks communications, the dissemination channels, and pillar activities on the pillar coordination in UN country teams in the ground. So we are also currently working on populating our database on digital connectivity. And but as we also heard, many countries are lacking data on digital connectivity, affordability, access, and we are trying to develop also projects that we can implement jointly in the future. We hope that it's really crucial to have this information available for better interventions in country and communities. For example, as for women entrepreneurs and food producers, where they have access to e-commerce platform, the activity that we support. And so how we can identify the ones who need digital skill trainings and so forth. We need data for that. So we really looking forward to also engage with FAO on this.
Thank you very much. I think now we are quite beyond. So if you agree, I will move now to New York to Her Excellency Ambassador Tania Serafin Yvonne Romualdo, the permanent representative of Cabo Verde to the UN, will deliver some remarks. So, Excellency, we are delighted to have you with us and look forward to your comment on behalf of African SIDS. Over to you.
Good morning, good afternoon, Excellencies, colleagues. Allow me to start by thanking the FAO Liaison Offices in Brussels, Geneva, and New York, as well as the FAO Office for SIDS, LDCs, and LLDCs, and FAO's Statistic Division for organizing this dialogue on such an important topic for SIDS. It's a pleasure to be here as AOSIS Deputy President and in my national capacity, Cabo Verde. The FAO SIDS Solutions Dialogue's objectives are highly relevant for advancing sustainable development in SIDS from all the three sub-regional groups: the ICE, which are the SIDS in the Atlantic Ocean, Indic Ocean, and South Sea of China, the Caribbean SIDS, and the Pacific SIDS. And I believe that today's dialogue proved just that. On the goal of approach today by the previous speakers, to whom I express deep appreciation for their valuable thoughts and visions, allow me to also share some brief reflections. SIDS are often challenged. They face challenges in collecting accurate, reliable, and timely data due to their geographic isolation, limited resources, and small population size. This can hinder effective policy making, planning, and the monitoring of Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. Identifying and sharing existing solutions to bridge these data gaps is crucial to enhancing the evidence-based that informs decision-making. Using technologies such as satellite data, mobile surveys, and other innovative data collection methods can significantly improve data availability. For this very reason, during the 4th SIDS conference that was held last year in May in Antigua and Barbuda, SIDS launched a Center of Excellence to deal with these important issues and provide the necessary assistance to all SIDS. Establishing partnerships and effective collaboration with international organizations such as the FAO is therefore of crucial importance and will help SIDS to access global databases and methodologies to improve local statistics. Timely and high-quality data is essential for responding to challenges such as climate change, food security and nutrition, and, of course, economic vulnerability in SIDS. High-quality agricultural and food security statistics are necessary to track progress on SDGs related to hunger, SDG 2, and climate change, SDG 13, among others. Our dialogue today underlined how technology, capacity building, and regional collaboration can improve data sharing and access. Furthermore, strengthening national statistical systems and enhancing local capacity for data analysis. So I was saying, SIDS are located within specific region, as mentioned before, ICE, Caribbean, and Pacific, and regional collaboration is therefore vital for sharing data, harmonizing statistics, and developing regional strategies for sustainable development. SIDS, which often share similar challenges due to their geographical size and vulnerability to climate change, also due to their dependence on specific sectors, like, for example, agriculture, blue economy, and tourism, by learning from each other's success and mistakes, SIDS can adopt solutions that are better tailored to their unique context. On one hand, the exchange of experience and good practices between SIDS is invaluable. On the other hand, strengthening regional networks for agricultural and food security statistics will also help to ensure that data is comparable and aligned with global standards. And that's why the Center of Excellence for SIDS is so important. The FAO's role in fostering such collaboration is crucial, as it can provide the technical expertise and resources, and also a platform for countries to engage in dialogue and collective action. For example, the use of integrated agricultural data platforms in one country may be replicated in another, contributing to more robust food security monitoring systems. South-South cooperation and SIDS cooperation are complementary and very useful tool to complement the SIDS partnerships with other regions and organizations. With the growing impact of climate change, SIDS need to enhance their resilience to environmental and economic shocks. Accurate and timely agricultural statistics can help SIDS to better understand trends in food production, identify vulnerabilities in the food supply chain, and plan for more resilient food systems. Data can also support early warning systems for disasters like hurricanes or droughts, helping communities to prepare themselves in advance. In conclusion, the FAO SIDS Solutions Dialogue provides an important opportunity for us to collaborate on strengthening our data systems, improving agricultural and food security statistics, and fostering a shared commitment to sustainable development. By addressing data gaps and enhancing access to quality data, SIDS can make better informed decisions and develop more resilient, sustainable food systems that support our long-term development goals. And I thank you for your attention and also for my very bad voice since I'm recovering from a flu. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for your remarks, for sharing your perspective as Cabo Verde, but also as a co-chair of the Alliance of Small Island States, FAO-SIDS, and for being so comprehensive in your comments. So thank you very much for joining us. And now, before I move to giving the floor to Ms. Yao, the new director of the Office of SIDS, LDCs, and LLDCs in Rome, I would like to take the opportunity to also notice that with us today, we have Angelica Jacome, who was the previous director of that office and who is now our partner in this dialogue series as the new director of the FAO Liaison Office in New York. So thank you, Angelica, for joining, and thank you also to our colleagues in Brussels for our partnering. But now let me give the floor to Xiang Yun for closing remarks and thanking you for agreeing to stay beyond the time that we had initially planned for.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Dominic. I feel sorry that I'm sitting so with you and also will slow your departure for another few minutes by delivering this closing remarks. But Your Excellencies and distinguished colleagues and ladies and gentlemen, so much, thank you so much for attending this SIDS Solutions Dialogues on Data. And I want to extend my sincere gratitude for all of you who attended this session, but also the ones who presented to the event with your very valuable information and also knowledge. So this discussion has reinforced a fundamental truth, that is, data is a foundation for informed decision making, effective policies, and sustainable development in SIDS. I don't think I can summarize, and I need to summarize those rich presentations and discussions that the presenters and the speakers just delivered. But what we heard from the private speakers in common is the essentiality of having accurate, timely, and disaggregated data for identifying challenges, developing effective solutions, tracking implementation, and making necessary adjustments. Without a clear evidence base, it is impossible to assess progress in transforming agri-food systems and advancing sustainable development. Despite the progress in data collection across the world, also thanks to the technical innovations, SIDS still face considerable challenges in data collection, analysis, and technical and institutional capacity. So FAO stands ready to support the SIDS members in this endeavor by providing technical expertise, data-driven insights, and guidance to strengthen decision-making and also sustainable development efforts. So in line with this commitment of FAO supporting SIDS on data, so allow me to introduce you very briefly FAO's roles in amplifying the voices of SIDS at regional and international arena. So you know that FAO has been strengthening its support to SIDS, LDCs through all and any possible means, and arrangements. So the establishment of the office I'm responsible for, namely Office for SIDS, LDCs, LLDCs, is one of the arrangements that the current FAO management puts in place. This office was set up in January 2020 as the first one as this kind in UN system, but I'm happy to hear that ITU is just established
Since
a similar
October, yes.
October. Yes, this office, a similar office. And for this office that I'm heading, takes several responsibilities. One is to coordinate and facilitate FAO support of technical divisions and decentralized offices to these groups of the members. Another objective of having this office is to represent FAO at any kind of occasions to advocate the common requests and concerns that these groups of the countries have on areas that FAO is mandated. The third kind of broad responsibility my office is to support the knowledge and information exchange among these three groups of the countries and also with the others. So in terms of this knowledge exchange and also information sharing between the SIDS and also with other countries, a few activities have been implemented, such as this one. I think with the collaboration with several liaison offices of FAO, but also the technical divisions. FAO is also hosting a dedicated online platform, namely the SIDS Solutions platform, to encourage innovative intra and also inter-regional knowledge exchange, to promote, scale up, and adapt locally grown ideas to accelerate agri-food transformation in SIDS. And FAO's technical assistance to SIDS are also showcased through this platform, online platform, for knowledge dissemination and information transfer. And all these good practices, I think we hear today, but also at other occasions, will be continued. I can assure you, but also more will be done, but upon your guidance and also towards your demands. It's worth to mention that FAO organized the first ever high-level ministerial event for SIDS, LDCs, and LLDCs in 2023, where the ministers and also high-level representatives called for the establishment of an ministerial network with the technical support from FAO. So with a view to better capture the needs and the priorities of these three groups of the countries. So efforts are underway to seek for inputs and guidance on how to best operationalize this ministerial network. So to end my remarks, honorable ambassadors and also the country delegates, as well as the UN partners. So, but more for the country colleagues. I trust your government have received FAO's Director General's invitation to attend the 44th session FAO's conference to be held from 28th June to 4th July this year in Rome. So during the conference, FAO is going to organize another edition of high-level ministerial events on SIDS, LLDCs, LDCs. Right now, the date has been fixed. It will be scheduled, it will be held on 29th June this year. So invitation letters signed by FAO Director General to your ministers and also to your governments to attend this high-level event are on the way. So to end again my speech. So I look forward to receiving you in Rome and also see you in any other occasions. Always your guidance is our origination to make our decisions and also make our activities. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Angel, and thank you very much to all participants, all speakers. We hope it was we hope you enjoyed this meeting. This is definitely a topic that is high on everyone's agenda. We exceeded the time. It shows that there is a lot to say, that there is even more to say. So please stay tuned. There will be more such conversation. And well, good rest of the day in New York. For us, we are reaching the end of the Geneva day, and I would like to thank our the ambassadors and representatives here in Geneva, because most of you have had what I would call an FAO afternoon with many discussions around FAO. So we are immensely grateful for that, and look forward to continued cooperation. Thank you. Bye bye.